Margaret Folf was an American murder victim hailing from Alexandria, Virginia. Her remains were discovered on September 12, 1976, in Woodlawn, Baltimore County, Maryland. For 45 years, her identity remained unknown until September 2021, when DNA testing conducted by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Bode Technology, and Othram successfully identified her. Before her identification, she was referred to as Woodlawn Jane Doe, named after the locality where her body was found. On that fateful morning at 10:20 a.m., the body of a woman estimated to be between 15 and 30 years old was located, partially wrapped in a white sheet. The victim had suffered severe violence, including beating, strangulation, and sexual assault, which resulted in bleeding that stained her clothing. It is believed she was killed elsewhere and subsequently moved to a location along Dogwood Road, near the rear entrance of a cemetery. A Ford Econoline van may be connected to the case, as it was reported in the vicinity an hour before the discovery of her body. The victim was adorned with a necklace made of turquoise-colored stone beads strung on rawhide. Additionally, she had 2 brass keys, one likely for a house and the other for a night latch attached to a safety pin found in the pocket of her tan-yellow jeans. Her attire included a white and tan shirt, a white bra, and distinctive knee-high socks featuring multicolored stripes. A single light tan moccasin, characterized by twine laces and a rubber sole, was discovered near her remains, believed to have belonged to her. Other fabric pieces were also present on her body. Over her face were 2 bandanas and a grass seed bag, which had been secured behind her neck with a square knot. One bandana was blue and white, while the other was orange and white, with the latter having been altered to accommodate her facial features. In addition to the bag covering her face, a fragment of the grass seed bag was found lodged in her throat. The investigation revealed that ligature strangulation, along with other factors, was the definitive cause of her demise. A bag discovered at the scene bore the inscription, Farm Bureau Association, Grass Seed, Lexington, Mass. Furthermore, her hands were meticulously bound behind her back with a high-quality bandage, showcasing intricate knotwork. A significant quantity of chlorpromazine, a sedative typically prescribed for schizophrenia, was detected in her stomach, prompting speculation about a connection to a mental health facility, either involving the victim or her assailants. The sheet enveloping her body matched those commonly found in inpatient care settings. Forensic experts assessed her physical attributes, estimating her weight to be between 149 and 159 pounds, and her height ranging from 5 feet 6 to 5 feet 9 inches. Her blood type was identified as O positive. Evidence indicated prior dental treatment. She had 3 molars extracted and 5 remaining teeth filled, suggesting a background of adequate financial means. Additionally, one of her teeth was notably misaligned. A poorly executed tattoo, possibly initials, was observed on her left arm, featuring 2 letters that could be interpreted as JP, SS, JB, or a similar combination. She also had pierced ears and a scar on her upper right thigh, along with a widow's peak on her forehead. Her appearance included wavy dark brown to black hair that fell to her shoulders, complemented by brown eyes and a dark olive complexion. The precise racial and ethnic identity of the victim remained a mystery to investigators and medical examiners, although there was a prevailing belief that she may have been of Caucasian descent. Following the discovery of her body, fingerprint and dental records were meticulously gathered to aid in her identification, with her fingerprints entered into national databases alongside her dental chart. A series of investigations ensued in pursuit of clarity in this tragic case. The individual in question has previously been associated with areas in Massachusetts and New York. Recent findings suggest she may have been a teenage immigrant from Central or South America, having resided in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts, although her family remains untraceable. In 2016, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children disclosed that she might have gone by the names Jasmine or Jassy during her lifetime. Numerous missing women from across the United States have been ruled out as potential identities for Woodlawn Jane Doe. The county police department is currently offering a monetary reward of $2,000 for any information about this case. A particularly notable instance is that of Maria Mia Angiras, a teenager who vanished from her Connecticut home in February 1976. The victim's visage has undergone multiple reconstructions for public dissemination, with 3 versions created by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Additional sketches also exist. The local police department has provided an age regression and another reconstruction, crafted by Eve Grant, in hopes of estimating her appearance at a younger age, should she have been a runaway or known to someone during an earlier phase of her life. Among the items the victim possessed was a key manufactured in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, bearing the inscription DB09212. Furthermore, a grass seed bag linked to a factory in Buffalo, New York, was discovered. This bag had been sold exclusively in the Massachusetts cities of Waltham, Rochdale, Lowell, South Weymouth, and Greenfield. Notably, production of this type of bag had ceased years before the murder. Forensic pollen analysis of the items found alongside the body indicated that she had likely spent time in a densely populated area, such as Boston, Massachusetts, or New York, New York. These findings were bolstered by the presence of cedar and hemlock pollen, which may have originated from locations like the New York Botanical Garden or Harvard University. The case has been highlighted on America's Most Wanted. Although various leads were pursued, they did not result in identifying the victim or her assailant. In December 2015, a significant development was reported by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children after Baltimore County Police received a tip. A potential match was identified, described as a Puerto Rican or Colombian teenager who had relocated to Boston, Massachusetts, with her parents and up to 5 siblings. The tattoo reading JP on her arm was suggested to possibly represent Jamaica Plain, the neighborhood where this potential match resided, specifically on Forbes Street. The investigation also considered possible school locations. However, the department faced challenges in locating the girl's relatives, which temporarily stalled the investigation. On the 40th anniversary of her discovery, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children unveiled an updated reconstruction of the victim. On September 15, 2021, following additional DNA analysis conducted with the support of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Bode Technology, and Othram, detectives successfully identified the girl as 16-year-old Margaret Folf from Alexandria, Virginia. Folf had gone missing in the late summer of 1975 and was a student at Hayfield Secondary School at the time of her disappearance. Her family reported her missing 1 year before the discovery of her body. In 1991, a tragic incident unfolded in the serene surroundings of Kapu, Hawaii, where a young woman was abducted and brutally assaulted. Discovered on Christmas Eve, she succumbed to her injuries in the hospital the following day. Initially, a suspect was convicted of her murder, only for the truth to emerge years later through advanced DNA testing, revealing his innocence. The evidence found on a sheet used to transport her to the hospital ultimately pointed to the true perpetrator. 23-year-old Dana Ireland, a tourist from Virginia, was kidnapped, viciously beaten, and left on a fishing trail in Puna, where she was found clinging to life among the bushes. Despite immediate medical attention, she tragically passed away due to severe blood loss. At the time, the police discovered DNA on her body and the transport sheet, but the forensic technology available was insufficient to identify a suspect, leaving the case unresolved for decades. Fast forward to January 2023, when Albert Ian Schweitzer, wrongfully convicted in 2000 for Dana's murder, was exonerated after his legal team presented compelling new evidence. Ian, one of 3 men previously imprisoned for the crime, had consistently proclaimed his innocence. He was sentenced to an astonishing 130 years, serving 23 before a judge granted his release. Lawyers from the Innocence Project argued that his DNA did not match that found on a T-shirt discovered near Dana's body. This shirt, soaked in her blood, belonged to an unidentified male, while the DNA collected from the crime scene was classified as unknown male number 1. Alongside Ian, Frank Pauline Jr. received 3 life sentences for Dana's murder, but met a tragic end in prison in 2015. Ian's brother, Sean Schweitzer, also implicated in the case, accepted a plea deal, resulting in a mere year of incarceration and 5 years of probation. The pursuit of uncovering the true culprit gained significant momentum following Ian's release in January 2023. DNA evidence retrieved from the victim's body and the sheet utilized to transport her to the hospital underwent retesting, revealing a match with 57-year-old Albert Loro Jr. On July 19, 2024, Loro was interrogated by law enforcement. However, they lacked sufficient probable cause to detain him on murder charges. By that juncture, the statute of limitations had expired on related assault charges, leaving only the murder allegation viable. Hawaii Police Chief Benjamin Moskowitz remarked, "We believed then and still maintain that the mere presence of Loro's DNA at the crime scene does not constitute adequate proof that he intentionally or knowingly caused her death." He further noted that an arrest without probable cause could jeopardize any subsequent evidence or developments in the case, rendering them potentially inadmissible. The police anticipated acquiring additional evidence from Loro. Investigators managed to access his cell phone, yet efforts to contact his relatives initially proved unsuccessful. In recent months, authorities intensified their focus on Loro, successfully obtaining a DNA sample from a discarded fork he had used in a public setting after being seen enjoying lunch. Tragically, Loro took his own life in the penultimate week of July 2024, shortly after police visited his residence to collect another DNA sample. A swab taken during this visit was undergoing analysis. The circumstances surrounding his decision, including whether he left behind a note or any pertinent information, remain under investigation, with no significant findings at the scene. Chief Moskowitz expressed hope that further insights might emerge to clarify Loro's tragic choice. The lives of 2 individuals were devastatingly extinguished by acts of unspeakable violence. In a parallel case in Massachusetts, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive for nearly 46 years until an anonymous source provided investigators with a name and crucial details. The pursuit of uncovering the true culprit gained significant momentum following Ian's release in January 2023. DNA evidence retrieved from the victim's body and the sheet utilized to transport her to the hospital underwent retesting, revealing a match with 57-year-old Albert Loro Jr. On July 19, 2024, Loro was interrogated by law enforcement. However, they lacked sufficient probable cause to detain him on murder charges. By that juncture, the statute of limitations had expired on related assault charges, leaving only the murder allegation viable. Hawaii Police Chief Benjamin Moskowitz remarked, "We believed then and still maintain that the mere presence of Loro's DNA at the crime scene does not constitute adequate proof that he intentionally or knowingly caused her death." He further noted that an arrest without probable cause could jeopardize any subsequent evidence or developments in the case, rendering them potentially inadmissible. The police anticipated acquiring additional evidence from Loro. Investigators managed to access his cell phone, yet efforts to contact his relatives initially proved unsuccessful. In recent months, authorities intensified their focus on Loro, successfully obtaining a DNA sample from a discarded fork he had used in a public setting after being seen enjoying lunch. Tragically, Loro took his own life in the penultimate week of July 2024, shortly after police visited his residence to collect another DNA sample. A swab taken during this visit was undergoing analysis. The circumstances surrounding his decision, including whether he left behind a note or any pertinent information, remain under investigation with no significant findings at the scene. Chief Moskovich expressed hope that further insights might emerge to clarify Loro's tragic choice. The lives of two individuals were devastatingly extinguished by acts of unspeakable violence. In a parallel case in Massachusetts, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive for nearly 46 years, until an anonymous source provided investigators with a name and crucial details. The pursuit of uncovering the true culprit gained significant momentum following Ian's release in January 2023. DNA evidence retrieved from the victim's body and the sheet utilized to transport her to the hospital underwent retesting, revealing a match with 57-year-old Albert Loro Jr. On July 19, 2024, Loro was interrogated by law enforcement. However, they lacked sufficient probable cause to detain him on murder charges. By that juncture, the statute of limitations had expired on related assault charges, leaving only the murder allegation viable. Hawaii Police Chief Benjamin Moskovich remarked, "We believed then, and still maintain, that the mere presence of Loro's DNA at the crime scene does not constitute adequate proof that he intentionally or knowingly caused her death." He further noted that an arrest without probable cause could jeopardize any subsequent evidence or developments in the case, rendering them potentially inadmissible. The police anticipated acquiring additional evidence from Loro. Investigators managed to access his cell phone, yet efforts to contact his relatives initially proved unsuccessful. In recent months, authorities intensified their focus on Loro, successfully obtaining a DNA sample from a discarded fork he had used in a public setting after being seen enjoying lunch. Tragically, Loro took his own life in the penultimate week of July 2024, shortly after police visited his residence to collect another DNA sample. A swab taken during this visit was undergoing analysis. The circumstances surrounding his decision, including whether he left behind a note or any pertinent information, remain under investigation, with no significant findings at the scene. Chief Moskovich expressed hope that further insights might emerge to clarify Loro's tragic choice. The lives of two individuals were devastatingly extinguished by acts of unspeakable violence. In a parallel case in Massachusetts, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive for nearly 46 years until an anonymous source provided investigators with a name and crucial details. The tragic loss of promising lives has left behind a haunting void, filled only with unanswered questions and a trail that had long since grown cold. Years later, the progress of advanced forensic technology revealed a chilling truth hidden for almost 50 years, discovered through a solitary blood sample from a long-ago autopsy, right beneath the investigators' awareness. Esther Gonzalez was a 17-year-old high school student residing in Beaumont, California, nestled in the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains. As the fourth of 7 siblings, she had a remarkable ability to bring joy and laughter to her family, particularly with her sister Elizabeth, who was just a year older. Their close relationship often made them feel more like twins than mere sisters. On the evening of February 9th, 1979, Esther left her parents' home to visit Elizabeth, who lived a short distance away in Banning. This was a familiar route for her, one that should have felt secure. However, that night an unforeseen tragedy altered the course of her family's life, leaving them to grapple with the loss of a cherished daughter and sister, a void that would endure for many years. During her walk, Esther encountered a man whose intentions were sinister. While the specifics of their interaction remain murky, it is clear that Esther fell victim to a heinous crime. The following morning, her lifeless body was discovered buried in a snowpack, having suffered a brutal attack. Investigators promptly initiated a thorough investigation to identify the perpetrator, but the case presented numerous challenges from the outset. With limited leads and no witnesses, detectives diligently sifted through fragments of evidence in pursuit of the truth. Their first significant clue came from an anonymous caller who reported finding Esther's body. This caller, later identified as Lewis Randolph, Randy Williamson, raised immediate concerns due to his confrontational attitude and hesitance to explain how he found the scene. Although he consented to a polygraph test and passed, the technology of that era provided insufficient evidence to conclusively link him to the crime. Consequently, Williamson was able to leave without charges, leaving investigators with unresolved questions. As time passed, the case gradually grew cold. Detectives have persistently pursued answers, undeterred by the passage of time. A male DNA sample obtained from the crime scene was carefully preserved, with investigators optimistic that future technological advancements could yield significant breakthroughs. This sample was submitted to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's combined DNA index system, yet no matches emerged. Over the years, detectives explored various theories, revisiting old evidence and interviewing witnesses, but each lead ultimately resulted in dead ends. In 2023, the Riverside County Cold Case team opted for a fresh strategy. Leveraging advancements in forensic technology, they sent the preserved DNA evidence to a specialized laboratory. Concurrently, a crime analyst meticulously reviewed every aspect of the case, contemplating the possibility that Williamson, who had been cleared by a polygraph in 1979, might still be the culprit. The analyst's intuition proved correct when a crucial clue emerged. Williamson's blood sample, taken during his autopsy in Florida in 2014, was still available. This development provided a new chance to compare the DNA evidence from the crime scene. The California Department of Justice processed Williamson's blood sample and matched it against the male DNA preserved for over 40 years. The results were conclusive. Williamson's DNA was an exact match. In November 2024, forensic genealogy finally resolved the case. After 45 years, the team confirmed what detectives had long suspected. Lewis Randolph Williamson was responsible for the death of Esther. Although Williamson had passed away in 2014, this breakthrough offered long-awaited closure to a family that had sought justice for nearly half a century. For the Gonzalez family, the revelation was a mix of relief and sorrow. After years of heartache, they were finally able to uncover the truth about the individual who had taken their cherished daughter, sister, and friend. Jason Corey, the chief investigator for the Riverside County Sheriff's Office, expressed his sentiments by stating, "I can hardly fathom the experience they have endured. The entire family has faced immense hardship over the years. This is a continuous struggle for them. I doubt that time has made this situation any easier. While it may be difficult to find happiness in the conclusion of this chapter, as it remains a profound tragedy, I sincerely hope it offers them some sense of closure." In a heartfelt message on Facebook, Esther's eldest brother, Eddie, conveyed the family's gratitude, saying, "The Gonzalez family wishes to extend their appreciation to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department for their commendable efforts. After 4 decades, the Gonzalez family has finally found closure."